Hello, in this video demonstrating a drawing process using shapes. So I decided to do Buzz Lightyear. Looked at one of my kids' toys and also a more exaggerated version of him, I think it was for Disney Infinity online. So I just looked at the shapes and I just kind of roughed them in. I've got some cylinders, half circles, tapered cylinders, squares, and in kind of an egg shape here. Roughed in eyes there. A few more circles and cylinders. Put a line down the center. And so that was pretty much blocking him out. And then after that, I went and I kind of did some gesture lines on top of that. Now I'm going to open this layer, and so then you'll see, I'm going to turn down the transparency, or the opacity on this one a little bit. So here I kind of did a rough sketch of him using the shapes there. And just kind of roughed it in. The shapes is kind of a guide, also some gestures as a guide, and that was pretty much what I had to go from. Just to get everything kind of in the right place. Another thing to think about is when you're doing this too is, so I'm calling these my construction lines. So something that I find really helpful is when you use lines to help measure. So for example, I call this a plumb line. So you think, well, maybe the inside of his foot is pretty much lining up to the edge of his face. Maybe the top of, or maybe the bottom of his fist is kind of lining up, maybe halfway into that knee area. Look at negative space too. How big is that space? What kind of a shape is that? What kind of a shape is this? So the negative space, plumb lines, horizontal lines, angled lines, which angle are the legs going, kind of gesture of the legs. Now, as I look at my reference, I can tell that I'm off in lots of different areas, but anyway, that's a good way to kind of measure things and rough them out. The next step was penciling it in, just kind of drawing over my existing lines, my existing construction lines, and the shapes. For a lot of the round stuff like the visor, I'd turn the smoothing brush on probably a little higher because I got a pretty shaky hand, really. And I'm a little rusty with my drawing. I need to really practice a lot more to have nice, round, confident lines. So I got the pencil in, and then I put in a shade layer. I started with something dark, and then I just kind of backed it off, which is I like to work in a kind of subtractive way like that quite a bit. I'll just add in more than I need, and I can either back off the fill or the transparency. Also come in with maybe an eraser and erase things where I don't need it, and that's really, really helpful. Next, I put in some cross hatches, and again I kind of put them in dark, really quick and dirty, and then I just kind of backed off on them a little bit. And then the last thing I did was put in a little bit of a highlight layer. And so that's why I kind of like drawing on a grayscale sheet of paper, because then I can put in highlights and shadows and just make the drawing pop a little bit more. So that's kind of how I went about doing it, and I'll show you a time-lapse video of the process. That's going to be sped up quite a bit.